Every hero shines in the light, but the story lives in the shadows. Because every great story is written by its villain. Here, we unmask the faces that haunt history and fiction, gangsters, masterminds, killers, and monsters. We dive into their origins, their psychology, and the chaos they leave behind. This is the mind of villains, where the darkness tells the tale. They say chaos is fair, that the world burns the same for everyone. But what happens when a man decides to stop playing by society's rules and makes chaos his weapon? This is the story of Gotham's clown prince of crime, Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. Welcome to the Mind of the Villain, the podcast where we peel back the mask, the scars, and the shadows to explore what truly makes a villain. And today, we start with one of the most haunting villains of modern cinema, the Joker. Not just a comic book character, not just a madman with clown paint, but an agent of chaos who terrified Gotham and us because he felt real. But here's the question. Was the Joker truly insane? Or was he the only one sane enough to expose the madness of society itself? Unlike most villains, the Dark Knight Joker doesn't give us a neat origin story. No tragic childhood montage, no single turning point. Instead, he gives us lies. Remember? One night he tells a victim, "You want to know how I got these scars? My father was a drinker and a fiend." The next time, it's a completely different story. His wife, his disfigurement. Each tale contradicts the last. Why does this matter? Because it makes him unknowable. The Joker refuses to be boxed into one tragic backstory. He is whoever he wants us to believe he is. And in that ambiguity, he becomes terrifying. But here's the thing. Villains usually reflect our fears. And in 2008, the Joker embodied a fear that felt eerily close to home. The fear of the random, unstoppable chaos. A terrorist with no motive but to watch the world burn. So let's step into his mind. The Joker tells us he isn't a man of plans. He mocks gangsters who scheme, mocks Batman's code, mocks the entire system. He believes order is a joke, and he proves it again and again. He robs banks, not just for money, but to humiliate Gotham's mob. He burns millions in cash, showing power is worth more than wealth. He rigs explosives to test humanity morality, forcing strangers to decide who lives or dies. The Joker thrives on one idea, that deep down, people aren't noble, they're selfish, cowards, animals. And his psychological warfare is brilliant. He doesn't just fight Batman physically. He can't. He corrupts Gotham's very soul. Harvey Dent, the White Knight of the city, becomes Two-Face because of the Joker's push. That's the Joker's true weapon. Not knives or bombs, but manipulation. He doesn't want to kill Gotham. He wants to prove Gotham was rotten all along. The Joker left a legacy that outlived him both in Gotham and in real life. In the film, he breaks the city spirit. Batman, the symbol of justice, has to become a fugitive to preserve Gotham's fragile hope. But in our world, Heath Ledger's Jokers changed cinema. He gave us a villain with no origin, no motive, no humanity to cling to, and it worked. He became iconic. Why? Because the Joker reflects something we don't want to admit, that maybe the world is only one bad day away from falling into madness. And maybe we see a little bit of him in ourselves that laugh at the wrong time. That urge to flip the table instead of playing the game. The Joker represents the chaos we try to bury. So what's the lesson of the Joker? It's that evil isn't always greedy. It isn't always tragic. Sometimes evil is simply playful. And that's what makes it horrifying. The Joker doesn't want your money. He doesn't want your loyalty. He just wants to prove that rules are illusions. And that in the end, chaos wins. And here's the question for you. Was he wrong? Or was Gotham just lucky that night? This was episode 1 of The Mind of the Villain. Today, we laughed with the Joker and maybe we shivered too. Next time, we'll step into the cold, calculated empire of a real-life villain, Al Capone. Was he a gangster or a businessman in a world that made crime the only business? Until then, remember, villains aren't born, they're made. Or maybe they just make themselves.